I can fly, but I want his wings.
Good morning, my lovelies. I am back in London now. I just moved back a few days ago, and yeah, I've been enjoying a lovely hiatus from YouTube. I think I took like 2 months off just to kind of focus on my own life and to actually try and implement some of the things that I'm going to talk about today in my own life before I actually made a video talking about it. But a couple of you have messaged me and commented on my Instagram post saying that you wanted me to make a video about natural law, because I've talked about how natural law or universal law, causality, consequentialism, moral law, karmic law, whatever tradition you follow will mean that you've come across maybe a different term for it. But I talked about how though universal law is the real law of attraction. So what kind of New Agers refer to as the law of attraction is kind of it's an oversimplification of universal laws, and without fully understanding the universal laws, your powers of manifestation might be a little bit limited. So in this video I wanted to kind of do a kind of brief synopsis on universal law and how it is the real law of attraction. But if you want to go deeper into this information, then you really should watch Mark Passio's presentation, Universal Law, the Real Law of Attraction. It's an 8 or 9 hour long presentation, so it's more kind of like a full day workshop, but it's one that's 100% free. So I know that, like, you know, we have a lot of self-empowerment gurus and manifestation coaches and people selling, you know, very expensive tickets to go to one-day workshops or weekend retreats. This one's free. You can find it online, and it's all you're really going to need if you really want to understand the law of attraction and how to implement it in your life. So I'll put a link to that in the description box, and you really should watch it. But just to summarize, even though I have kind of talked about universal law in some of my other videos, universal law is kind of the laws of the universe. It's the laws of causation or consequentialism. Natural law, it's basically, just to put it very simply, I mean, I'm going to do other videos where I go into more detail. If anybody studied the 7 Hermetic principles, those are the principles of universal law. So yeah, that was by I think originally the Hermetic principles were from the Egyptian Thoth or Tahuti. So we're taking it back to the old school. These are like really ancient, hermetically sealed, binding universal principles. It's basically like gravity. Like, these are not laws that man has kind of written, like the US Constitution that can be changed. They're hermetically sealed, which means that they are binding by nature. They are principles that the universe is governed by, whether you believe in them or not. So they're basically the laws of cause and effect. In fact, the principle of cause and effect is one of the Hermetic principles, but it kind of goes deeper than that. But to understand it simply, it's to understand that every action has an opposite and equal reaction, which again is another one of the Hermetic principles. I'm not articulating this very well. Forgive me, it is 7 in the morning. Natural law is basically about understanding the difference between wrong and right, which are objective in nature. You know, they're not. Some people like to believe that wrong and right are completely subjective, and down to opinion or down to society's definition of what wrong and right is. But that's not actually true. That wrong and right have actual definitions that are binding and exist in nature regardless of society's subjective interpretation of whether something is wrong or right. Societies generally are prone to a lot of conditioning and social engineering of mass consciousness. That's why they believe certain things like, you know, the transatlantic slave trade, or the animal slavery industry, or even just the condition of human slavery that we find ourselves in now. We believe these things are right just because they're socially acceptable, just because most people engage in them. But they are wrong by definition of the word wrong. So natural law kind of goes into the actual definitions of wrong and right, and that if you violate these boundary conditions of free will, this is very important to understand. Natural law are basically the boundary conditions of free will. In this universe, we all have free will, and we can do whatever we can possibly imagine. So this is what law of attraction people will teach you, that you can manifest anything that you can possibly imagine. But if you do not understand the boundary conditions of free will, that is natural law, there are consequences to certain things that you will try and manifest. If you're trying to manifest things that will cause harm to others, this is the definition of wrong, to cause harm. Anything that is wrong, that is incorrect, that is not based in truth, i.e. not based in natural law, in alignment with natural law, which is in alignment with the truth, is immoral. Immoral is wrong. Moral is right. Moral is any action, any free will action that does not result in harm to another being, including the earth herself. So if you're trying to manifest greater wealth and abundance, but you're doing it by dubious... Sorry, so annoyingly I switched the camera off accidentally, and I kept on talking, and I finished the video and then watched it back and then realised that half of it was missing. So yeah, if you're trying to manifest greater wealth and abundance, but it's not for the good of all, it's just for the good of a few, you may be able to manifest it, because if those few that you're going to benefit have the means to help you manifest it, then, you know, it will get done. But you'll be practicing black magic, because if it's going to cause harm to others, there will be consequences to that. Whatever, you know, I'm not going to think of an example right now. I'm sure you can think of your own. But if you're trying to manifest something for the good of all, it may be a longer, harder, more lengthy process, especially because the world that we live in right now, we live in a feudalistic system of hierarchy, which has been kind of artificially created. I'll go into how and why in another video, but that's kind of the universe that we live in. So if you're trying to benefit the people at the top of the pyramid, who basically, where all the energy is getting siphoned up, then you might be able to do it very quickly, and manifest that quicker. But there will be consequences, because you've got all these people at the bottom who are actually the generators of the energy. If you're actually trying to manifest something for the good of all, the generators of the energy, which is the mass of people, will actually but the whole universe will conspire to help you make that happen. So if you're trying to build a school for the community, there will be people who will help you make that happen. It's not only about getting, you know, manifesting money to help you do things. Like, you know, there are... money's just... it's, you know, I'll do another separate video about money and what it actually is. It's just energy, right? It's an IOU, but it's not the actual resource. The actual resource is people's labor, you know, it's the resources that come from the earth. and all of those things, I mean, they don't come from the people at the top of the pyramid. So understand that. Yeah, so if you're working for the good of the all and the good of humanity, or the planet as a wider whole, people will come and help you manifest it. Things that happen at this plane of causation, the physical plane, it's much denser down here, which is why things are manifested more slowly. So you need to allow time for your outcome to manifest, whatever it is. Say for example you're trying to manifest the perfect job. There will be a time delay between when you get the idea and when you are able to go through the listings, find the perfect job, apply to it, get on the train, go to the interview, wait till you hear back from the interviewer. Perhaps you don't even have enough experience for this job. So the time it will take for you to acquire the experience necessary for this perfect job. And then if the job is not in alignment with natural law, like say you want to be, I don't know, you want to work as an order follower, there are consequences to doing those kinds of jobs. We're seeing those consequences play out now on the global stage with all these wars in the Middle East and people waking up to them. So, and don't even get me started on order followers, because I've actually had quite a few of them. Quite a few of you message me on my Instagram, former sort of soldiers and police and military and stuff like that, who are going through massive awakenings now because you realise that you were massively lied to about what you were actually giving your lives for. But that's another conversation to have another time. But yeah, if what I'm saying resonates with you and you're not familiar with Mark Passio's work, then I really recommend you dive straight in, because he's the master. I've not found anybody. I've come across many teachers in my time, and he's the one that really breaks it down and makes sense, and he translates very deeply occulted principles into just very simple common sense chunks of knowledge that you can digest very easily. And it just makes you wonder why this stuff has been hidden from us for so long, because it's not difficult for us to understand. It's actually very simple when you think about it. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in, lovers, and I'm very happy to be back on YouTube. Leave me your comments. Let me know if you want me to do any other videos or answer any questions. Feel free to DM me on Instagram as well if you want to know anything, or you want anything answered, or you got any video requests. I'm going to do a series on the 8 Hermetic principles, because Mark Passio teaches it with one lost principle, but he also talks about it in his natural law seminar as well. So if you watch that, then you'll kind of know everything. But I'm going to do my own video talking about the 8 Hermetic principles with my own kind of examples and interpretations. So tune in for that, and yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. One love.
Some other drug, like for instance, like marijuana or something.